Again, she will face Barnhart, Villa, and then the very, very dangerous Riley Love, who in many ways feels like she has saved her best for last as she leads Texas Tech as a veteran you would expect would do. She's taken another step. Chloe Temples will throw tomorrow. And the sun's shining, cool temperatures hovering around the mid-40s. There was rain all morning long, and frankly, it's still raining in areas around Provo, Utah. We expect it to be even a little bit colder for tomorrow afternoon's game before things warm up towards about 50 degrees on Saturday afternoon. For the time being, this is pitch number one of game number one of the Big 12 season between BYU and Texas Tech. Aubrey Barnhart is hit on the first pitch, and Texas Tech will absolutely try and take advantage of that. An early base runner for the Red Raiders.
Not necessarily the start that you want, but definitely is something that Temple's and BYU's defense can come back from. They have a chance for a double play, and just Chloe getting more control of her pitches as this game starts. She probably has some pregame nerves. First game of the conference series.
That'll bring up Ariana Villa, another senior for Texas Tech. The left fielder, batting .361, has played in and started all 21 games. Popped up, shallow left field. Agbayani ran a long way and runs into the fence, cannot make the grab. And she'll hustle back over to her shortstop position. So Villa, in her first at-bat, lives to see at least one more pitch.
That was a great hustle by Agbayani, and she hit that fence pretty hard and just popped right back up.
So Villa with Barnhart on first after she was hit by the first pitch of the game. Swung on and hit well, driven to center field. Zavodnik chasing it back, out of here. What a start for Texas Tech. It's 2-0 Red Raiders. Fifth home run of the season for Ariana Villa, trailing only Riley Love, who was due up next. Wow.
She had great hands on that pitch. That ball was still up, but she got all of it.
That ball is absolutely pulverized on a line over the center field fence. And an early conversation from BYU's pitching coach Pete Meredith with his starting left-hander, Chloe Temples.
And that's tough because the pitch before, BYU almost got an easy foul ball pop-up out from a really similar pitch. So Temple's coming in, throwing the same thing, hoping for that outcome, but batter adjusting, taking her hands up higher and taking the ball out of the park.
We should note the wind is blowing in toward home plate.
That's true.
At a pretty significant pace. And that ball cut through the wind over the center field fence. 2-0 Texas Tech, and now all you got to do is deal with the Red Raiders' top offensive player, the senior Riley Love out of Keller, Texas. Love with 20 hits and 57 at-bats, 8 doubles, 6 home runs, and a team best, and it's not close, 26 runs driven in. That one a called strike from Temples, and the count now 1-1. The 1-1 to Love. Popped up out of play for strike 2. Temple's searching for that first out for BYU. And try and calm the nerves a little bit after hitting a batter and then giving up a 2-run home run 3 pitches later.
You'd almost feel like they have less nerves playing on their home field, but you want to win so bad on your home field. Sometimes it's more nerve-wracking to play at your home field.
On the ground to third base, and the play is made over to Ava for the first out. So BYU retires Love, and that'll bring up the designated player Kaylee Wyckoff, the sophomore in that cleanup spot, batting .323. So lefty on lefty here, with Temples staring down Wyckoff. A little off-speed offering from Temples that misses low for ball one. Texas Tech coming off some impressive performances against Merrimack College and 2 wins against New Mexico State as we watch ball two miss the strike zone. In those 3 wins on the 3-game win streak, and I know that competition matters, but the Red Raiders have dominated, which is what you expect them to do. They have outscored those 3 teams on this 3-game win streak 37-3.
Wow.
That's fouled off on the ground. And rolling into right field, Alea Agbayani over there for BYU. It's 2-1.
And even if it wasn't necessarily the greatest competition they're playing, it still makes you feel good to get hits and to do well. And that gives you that confidence going into the next series, this very important series, to start off that conference play.
Certainly. And all run rule games, all were over by the 5th inning. The 2-1. Here is Kaylee Wyckoff, the sophomore from Katy, Texas, facing Chloe Temples. And she waits on that, hits it to the wall in right field, going to stretch it into extra bases. It's a 1-out double for the designated player, Kaylee Wyckoff. Her 6th double of the season, and Texas Tech's offense is rolling here early at Gail Miller Field.
Again, she got all of that ball. Really nice hit down the right field line. BYU's just got to work on getting some outs right here. Stop the bleeding. You don't want to have a more than 2-0 deficit as you're going into the bottom of the 1st inning.
Well, the pressure mounts for Temples after a rough 1st inning. And ball one there to Demi Elder, batting 5th for Texas Tech, the right fielder, with a .297 batting average, making her 14th start of the season. This is at bat number 38, and she's got a runner in scoring position with Wyckoff on second. Check swing. Elder able to lay off that. And it's 2 balls and no strikes. And now BYU's catcher, Haley Morrow, will call in the infield and gather around the pitcher, Temples. Katayla, you've played the highest levels of college softball. You've been around some pitching performances that have gone off to rough starts. What is the purpose and benefit of a conversation like that early?
Yeah, I'm sure they're just going out there telling her to relax, to do her thing. She really needs to throw strikes. Starting off at bats with balls is going to give those batters more looks. They're going to see better pitches because she has to throw it in there. So starting out with more strikes, doing what she does is what Chloe needs to do right now.
Behind in the count, 2 balls and no strikes. Demi Elder looking to add to a 2-0 Texas Tech lead. Just 1 out here in the top of the 1st. And there is the strike that you had called for from Chloe Temples.
Yeah, let's see another one. I'll keep calling it.
2-1 to Elder is low. Good eye from the Tech right fielder. And she's got a hitter's count once again at 3-1.
And honestly, that pitch was just a little low, little inside. That's a much better miss than some of the misses we have been seeing from Temples so far. As long as she can miss a little bit closer, make them think about swinging.
The 3-1, Elder on the ground. And a good stop made by Kayla Kamoku at second base to get the force out at first. Wyckoff advances to third on the play. So the Red Raiders a base hit away certainly from making this a 3-0 game, with Wyckoff now a very short distance from home plate. And the Red Raiders will turn to Reagan Jennings, a freshman making her 9th start and batting .360. At bat number 26 for the young Reagan Jennings, and she takes ball 1 from Temples with 2 down in the top of the first, and the Red Raiders leading 2-0. Jennings stares at ball 2 well outside. It's now 2-0. A stat to pay attention to here: when this Texas Tech team scores in the first inning, they're typically very good this season. 7-1 when they put a run on the board in the first inning. They've got 2 here, and Jennings working with the hitter's count, and Wyckoff on third. On the ground to first base, there's Hunter Ava. So BYU does indeed surrender 2, but Temple's bearing down and getting some big ground ball outs to help limit the damage. BYU's offense up to. She'll be followed by Maddie Bejarano, the transfer from UCF, who's now benefited greatly from moving over to BYU and is really surging. She'll be followed by Violet Zavodnik, Lily Owens, and Hunter Ava. Morrow, Udall Kamoku, and Alea Agbayani round out the starting 9 on the offensive side for BYU. Maddie Kuhl is the pitcher for Texas Tech, 1.84 earned run average, 5-3 as the pitcher of record in 49 1/3 innings worth of work, and she's holding opponents to a batting average of under 200 at 194. Kuhl is throwing to Kennedy Kreitz, Barnhart at first, Reagan Jennings at second, and Riley Love at third. At shortstop is Abby Orrick, and in the outfield, Ariana Villa. In left field, your center fielder is Logan Holloman, outstanding freshman that's playing super well for the Red Raiders, and the right fielder is Demi Elder. 2 balls and a strike now to Ailana Agbayani, the leadoff batter for the Cougars. Sophomore out of Hawaii. Some more looks at the numbers from Maddie Kuhl this season, as she tries to retire, make it 3-1 to Agbayani, and Agbayani draws a leadoff walk against Maddie Kuhl. 21st walk of the season from Kuhl, which will grant BYU an early opportunity to cut into a 2-0 deficit against Texas Tech.
Yeah, we could have the bottom half of the inning mirror the top half, a home run right here. Tie it back up.
Maddie Bejarano batting .512 this season, which is right now good for 3rd best in the entire Big 12. She's also tops of any Big 12 player right now in on-base percentage at .603. Just unbelievable numbers from, as her teammates call her, Maddie B. So it's Maddie on Maddie here, Kuhl on Bejarano, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. Ailana Agbayani is the base runner for BYU at first after the leadoff walk. Wind blowing in from center field didn't matter for Texas Tech, who had a center field home run from Ariana Villa. And there is ball 3. So Maddie Kuhl now feeling just a little bit of pressure and on the verge of walking the first 2 batters that she sees today. And there is a much-needed strike from Kuhl to make it 3-1.
And you'll notice Maddie B didn't even make a move at that pitch. She was watching. No matter what, her team needs base runners. She's in a 3-0 count. She's watching that pitch no matter what.
3-1. It's a bunt. So BYU will advance Agbayani to second. Texas Tech, with the clean fielding, will retire Bejarano on the sacrifice at first. So 1 down, but a runner in scoring position for BYU. And red-hot Violet Zavodnik coming to the plate for the Cougars, the senior batting .460.
And that was a textbook sacrifice bunt by Maddie B. She is a super good bunter. Great person to have in your number 2 spot for BYU.
Maddie Keel is delivering to Zavodnik, who is staring at the first pitch outside, ball 1. The 1-0 from Keel to Zavodnik, swung on, foul tip. and controlled by Kennedy Kreitz. It's 1-1 with Agbayani on second and one down in the bottom of the first. The 1-1, Zavodnik pops that out of play for strike two. So seemingly Maddie Keel slowing down. Starting to find that strike zone a little bit. I'm not talking velocity, just sometimes. And in the cold temperatures too.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Not easy. Zavodnik fights off the 1-2.
Pitching with cold fingers is hard. Not fun. But I expect as the innings go on, their fingers will warm up, they'll get more used to it, and we'll see a lot more strikes.
We talked about Bejarano, who just had the sacrifice to move Agbayani with the #1 on-base percentage in the Big 12. Zavodnik is number 3. Foul tip out of the glove of Kreitz. Unable to secure that for what would have been a strike 3 putout. So Zavodnik will see at least one more pitch here from Maddie Keel. The 1-2. Change up, fought off once again by Zavodnik of BYU. The junior pitcher Maddie Keel trying to take care of Zavodnik, and there's ball 2. The count now 2-2. Keel in 12 appearances, already with new career highs in innings pitched, batters faced, saves, complete games, and strikeouts. And strikes out Zavodnik right there, swinging for out number 2. What a battle right there. Advantage Keel.
Yeah, that was a really big out for Texas Tech. Zavodnik missing just under it. All of her swings in that at-bat. She's just under it, but totally expect her to make an adjustment for her next at-bat.
That brings up Lily Owens, sophomore designated player, batting cleanup for BYU with an average of .479, 12 RBI. Trying to bring in Agbayani for BYU, as that one is fouled off sharply on the ground towards the Texas Tech dugout. Some quick reflexes on display there. It's 1-1. Keel, the starter for the Red Raiders. Gives up a base hit down the line. It's going to roll to the wall. Lily Owens around second, headed for 3, and it's an RBI triple with 2 outs for the sophomore Lily Owens to make it 2-1. That ball was laced down the first base line. Opposite field shot for Owens.
And she was speedy around those bases. I was not expecting a triple out of that.
Lily Owens.
She's been doing fantastic so far this season. Hitting really well.
Hunter Ava. That's it weakly on the ground to third base. Riley Love scoops that up, no problem. Texas Tech will maintain the lead, but the Cougars do get p.m. Eastern to help the temperatures become a little bit warmer, and certainly to avoid that rain. We'll do the same thing tomorrow, 5 Eastern, 3 Mountain Time start on the Big 12 now on ESPN Plus for Game 2 between Tech and BYU. And Chloe Temples delivers a first pitch strike to Abby Orrick, the senior. Orrick, sure-handed shortstop, batting .246 for the Raiders this season and making her 20th start. Big swing and a miss. Orrick saw something she liked, just couldn't quite catch up with it.
I think this is the first time Temples has gone up and been ahead in the count so far this game. Much better start off to the second inning than the first.
No balls and 2 strikes. And Oric, it's a shallow pop fly. Alea Agbayani up from her spot in right field to secure the catch, and there's one down.
I think the wind must have carried that a little bit. Second baseman was headed towards center field, and it really was just directly behind her.
Yeah, certainly that wind is whipping, blowing in from center field, but a little bit towards the right field line as well currently. No question, fly balls will be that much more adventurous for all of the defenders when that is in play. Temples has Kennedy Kreitz, the senior catcher, swinging and missing for strike one. Kreitz, a formidable bat, the back half of the lineup for Texas Tech, 281 average. And stares at strike two. To your point, Taylor, much better and cleaner inning and start thus far for Temples in the second frame as compared to the first, where she hit a batter and then gave up an absolute blast of a home run to Ariana Villa over the center field fence. Ball hit to Alea Agbayani, and she makes the second catch of the inning from her spot for out number two.
And you know, it's so much easier to defend those pop-ups and soft hits than the lasers we were seeing the first inning from the Texas Tech bats. Really, if BYU can just go get one more out and give themselves another chance at the plate, totally can see them making up that one-run difference.
Holloman is the number 9 hitter for Tech, the freshman, making her 15th start. She's batting .385. And another solid left-handed option offensively for the Red Raiders. Bunt is down, it's a beauty. Ava's gonna have to hurry, and her throw is wild. It's backed up by Agbayani in right field. And there you see the speedy Logan Holloman and what she can do out of Flower Mound, Texas. Taylor, she's 9 for 9 in stolen bases this season.
Wow, that doesn't surprise me. She got down that line quick. Hunter was on that ball and still didn't even have a chance throwing her out at first.
So that team best .385 batting average takes a few points upward in that category after the bunt single with 2 down. And do you think that BYU is aware of Holloman on base paths?
I was just gonna say that was a really big lead by her. Hopefully Morrow is on it back there.
Aubrey Barnhart, her second at bat as we move back to the top of the order for the Red Raiders. They lead 2-1 in the top of the second. And is it 10 for 10? You bet. Logan Holloman. 10 stolen base attempts, 10 stolen bases.
Oh, leaving early.
Oh, and they call her out for the early departure. Wow.
Looks like they're gonna challenge it, maybe.
Yeah, and I would expect something like this from Coach Snyder at Texas Tech. Craig Snyder in his second season has done an amazing job with Texas Tech. For now, it looks like there won't be an actual challenge, and it's just going to be BYU benefiting from the early departure on the stolen base. Score remains 2-1 in field for out number 3, and that ends the threat from the Red Raiders to score in back-to-back innings here to open up. So Tech will hold on to the 2-1 lead as BYU goes back to work offensively in the bottom half of the second, with Haley Morrow, the sophomore catcher from Las Vegas, leading things off for the Cougars. And Morrow is hit on the second pitch from Maddie Keel.
Ooh, that one hurt right in her elbow. At least she has an elbow guard,
Got
right?
the elbow guard on, but it certainly still stings.
Yeah.
And you talked about cold temperatures making everything hurt a little bit more. As you look at Craig Snyder, I mentioned in his second season, he's just done amazing things with Texas Tech. So in year number 1, all he did was help the program set a single season record for home runs, brought in some serious power. 74 the Red Raiders hit last year. They had the best slugging percentage they've ever had in program history. More doubles than they'd ever hit. He brought some real offensive spark to Texas Tech. And this after assistant coaching stops at Oklahoma, Florida State, Texas A&M, some notable, reputable programs. And
I think they might be challenging if her elbow was over the plate, I think is what's happening. Yeah.
So did she lean? Did she lean into the pitch?
That's hard because she was coming back. She was over but came back as it hit her.
She's lined up over the plate almost, right? Like her elbow is over the plate.
Yeah, that's hard. Honestly, a lot of these girls are standing on the line, and their knees and elbows do start over the plate. I'm curious what they're going to call.
You've seen all of our angles. Now we have our first official replay challenge here from Coach Snyder. For the moment, Morrow stands on first. She's talking with one of BYU's assistants, Allie Hancock-Schneeman.
Because her movement was backwards, though, she didn't like necessarily lean her elbow into it. I'd be very surprised if they reverse the call and make her come back.
Gordon Eakin, speaking of head coaches, is in so many ways just legacy coach for BYU softball. He's been around for so many years and has maintained such a high standard. As you look at the numbers that his offense has put up this season, they're averaging 8 runs a game are the Cougars. That ranks 6th nationally. And an on-base percentage as a team. I mean, as a team, Taylor.
Yeah, that's incredible.
447, that's also top 10 in the country. Now the detractors, to be fair to the situation, will say, okay, yeah, but BYU's schedule has been a little lighter than it usually is in non-conference, and they've taken care of business at 14-4. So it'll be interesting to see how those numbers translate with BYU moving into one of the toughest softball conferences in the country.
Absolutely.
I mean, you could argue it is the toughest with the likes of Oklahoma, yes, Texas, and Oklahoma State.
Absolutely. It'll be a fun season to watch for sure.
Cannot wait. This is the farewell season for Oklahoma and Texas in the Big 12 before they head out to the SEC. And Gordon Eakin's going to come out and argue as Morrow is told to go back into the box for now a ball and a strike. Wanted some clarification. He gets it from today's first base umpire, Tyler Barfus. Aaron Peterson is behind home plate, and Mike Hernandez is down the third base line. So no early base runner for BYU in the leadoff spot yet for Haley Morrow. She's going to have to earn it another way against a really, really confident pitcher right now in Maddie Keel. 1-1. That didn't miss by much.
Yeah, wow. Where was that? Maybe high? Umpire seems to have a tighter strike zone today, but as long as they're consistent for both teams.
That's what you want. It's what any coach wants.
Yep.
2 balls and a strike. And that one finds the zone to make it 2-2. Haley Morrow, not off to the start she was hoping for offensively, batting just 184. And looking to spark something here as that is lined foul. Count remains 2-2.
And Morrow had a great year last year. We know she can hit really well. Sometimes it just starts out not the best for yourself. But this is a good time to change that around, couple weeks into the season, starting off conference play.
Two, swung on and missed. Rise ball and a good one from Keel to retire Morrow on strikes.
Yeah,
so
nice
tough
pitch
to lay off that
Yeah.
pitch. That is a brilliant offering from the right-hander Keel. Maddie Udall. A little bloop. It is handled easily by Abby Orick for a quick out number 2 in the bottom of the second.
A lot of those bloops that the BYU players are hitting, they're a little bit late. I'd be curious to know how hard Keel is throwing. Everyone on the BYU squad seems just a little bit behind it, catching it on the neck of their bats.
Here is Kayla Kamoku swinging and missing for strike 1. You can see the confidence build for Keel.
And what a switch of an inning for her, too, starting off with hitting someone, and then it ended up being a strikeout.
An effective challenge by Coach Snyder. Got what he wanted in that scenario. So, yeah, instead of, to your point, Taylor, leadoff batter on first after being hit by a pitch, a strikeout, and then you get a bloop out. And now a 1-1 count with 2 down and nobody on to Kamoku for BYU. And Kamoku now with strike 2 as that is fouled off. Maddie Keel in an inning and 2/3 with a couple of strikeouts. Has given up the 1 earned run on a 2-out triple off the bat of Lily Owens. But maintains the lead at 2-1. Ball 2 strikes to Kamoku. And that's in the dirt for ball 2.
She hasn't shown that changeup very much. Probably the second time we've seen it. She really is leaning on that rise ball, and that's what she's catching people on for those strikeout pitches.
Agbayani on deck if it comes to that for BYU. The 2-2 and another rise ball strikeout. Her 3rd strikeout in 2 innings as Keel keeps the Red Raiders in front by a run. We'll go to the top of the 3rd. Baseball on the opposite side, one of the most picturesque venues in the entire country, and a great Big 12 softball opener between Texas Tech and BYU. The Red Raiders with an early 2-1 lead as we hit the top of the 3rd. Aubrey Barnhart to lead things off for Tech, facing the left-hander from BYU, Chloe Temples. So Barnhart was the batter when the bottom, or rather the top of the second ended because of a base running mistake by Logan Holloman, who left early on an attempted steal, and she was called out. So Barnhart again starts with a fresh count here against Temples, although she is behind, no balls and 2 strikes. Barnhart was hit by a pitch, the first pitch of the game as a matter of fact. She strikes out swinging here and is tagged out by Morrow. And Chloe Temples has her first strikeout of the game here for out number 1 in the 3rd.
Yeah, caught her swinging at that changeup in the dirt. As a hitter, it does not look like it's going to hit the dirt when it comes out of their hand, but because of the speed that's taken off of it, it looks so good. But everyone watching, you just watch them swing at a pitch in the dirt, and you're like, oh, well, obviously, that's a ball, right? But, man, it's harder than it looks. Especially Temples. She has a really good changeup. That is one of her better pitches for sure.
Well, Pete Meredith, the pitching coach for BYU, out into the circle after that strikeout to have a brief conversation with Temples. And I'm guessing it has something to do with what happened the last time that Ariana Villa hit the plate. And a rocket shot of a home run to give Texas Tech their 2 runs in the first. And so here comes Villa now with 5 home runs on the season. And the power-hitting left fielder swinging big at Temple's first offering. That's popped up out of play for strike 1.
I'm curious if Temples will throw a couple changeups in this at bat just to mix it up a little. Villa hasn't seen one of those from her yet, but her rise ball is what she hit out of the park. So we'll probably see her moving away from that with this batter.
And that misses the zone. A little low there from Temples. It's A ball and a strike with one out in the top of the third. The 1-1 to Ariana Villa. Temples finds the strike zone on the outside part of the plate. It's 1-2.
Gosh, and see, she watches that pitch. Everything else she swung at has been significantly higher than that. She must just be looking for that higher pitch. Maybe it's her favorite.
The 1-2, change up, and that's hit well by Villa too. Patient hitting and great hands by Villa, who now has a double and a 2-run home run in her 2 at-bats.
Yeah, she's feeling it today.
Villa's 6th double of the season puts Tech back in scoring position here with 1 down.
And honestly, not the prettiest swing. But these girls are so strong, and if you hit the ball in the center of the bat, it'll go.
Ariana Villa now on second. And that'll bring Riley Love to the plate for her second at-bat. We are in the heart of the lineup for Tech. And Love sends a rocket to center field. It's off the top of the wall. She's got an RBI double. I mean, that ball was maybe 6 inches away from going out of the park. That hit the very top of the wall in center field as Zavodnik was giving chase. Watch this. I'm just sitting on that, and oh my goodness, Talia, how does that ball not get out?
Yeah, wow.
With how hard that was hit too, I'm surprised
it was a shot.
It didn't carry him over the wall, but just misses what would have been her 7th home run of the season, but instead she'll settle for her 9th double and another RBI. She's got 27 runs batted in this season. The next closest for Tech is 15, and that comes from Villa.
Wow. Yeah, it's really important to get the outs before she gets up to bat, so there's not those runners on base for her to hit in.
3-1 Texas Tech leading BYU here in the top of the third. And Wyckoff is the batter. Rise ball misses high. 2 balls and no strikes from Temples. Riley Love on second. .842 slugging percentage. A little bit better after that latest double. One of the top hitters in the Big 12 coming into this conference opener at BYU. Now it's the designated player and cleanup batter Wyckoff trying to bring around Love and extend the Texas Tech lead. It's 3 balls and no strikes. A strike delivered from Temples to make it 3-1.
And this is a really important point in this inning. Temples, even though there was a couple of hits and a run scored, she still needs to come and throw strikes and finish the inning and get the 2 more outs that her team needs.
A 3-1 to Wyckoff. Swinging for strike 2.
That was a really good pitch. Do you think that was an off speed? It almost looked like it was, but maybe not quite change up. No, I don't know.
Could have taken something off that.
Yeah, it was almost like she was ahead of it a little bit.
Certainly fooled Wyckoff to make it a full count with 1 down. Love is on second. It's hit on the ground. Is it fair? Yes. And Wyckoff is wanting further confirmation that that ball was not foul. She remains on first base. Ava stepped on first. So for the time being, we have 2 outs. And once again, we will have a conversation. Maybe we'll have another challenge here.
Yeah. That was weird. It was almost just like quiet, like everyone just assumed it was foul.
So here's another look. Off the bat, that ball, does that remain over the bag?
No, I don't know. That's hard from that angle. Because
It's
even though
certainly
she's
not a great
behind
angle
it
right there, yeah.
and fields it in foul territory, as long as it crosses the base, it's considered fair.
Well, and Ava was so nonchalant about it. It was almost like BYU thought maybe it was a foul ball, but Ava fields it just in case and goes through the motions to step on her bag. They rule it out number 2, so no official challenge there. They say that ball was over the bag.
And BYU will take that right now.
And there are 2 down. Love advances to third on the play. Foul tipped and away to Demi Elder on the first pitch from Temples. It's 0-1. The 0-1. Rise ball, and Elder lays off that pitch. A ball and a strike. The 1-1. Ripped through the gap at first and second. It's a 2-out RBI single for Demi Elder, and just like that, it's 4-1 Tech. The Red Raiders bats coming alive in the top of the third.
It's pretty incredible how many balls have been hit to the right side today. I really don't feel like that happens as much as it's happening today. Probably left-handed pitcher if they're throwing inside, but that was hit really well.
Riley Love touches home plate for her team best 19th run scored of the season. And now Temples trying to battle and keep the deficit at just 3 runs and prevent a significant 2-out rally here by Texas Tech. Reagan Jennings is the batter. Jennings 0 for 1 in her first at bat. And that's well outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. We do have some movement in the BYU bullpen. That is Kate Daly, number 26, a freshman right-hander. 1-1, also fouled away for strike 2. Ball and 2 strikes. Jennings swung on and missed. Big strikeout for Chloe Temples, but the Red Raiders tack on 2 more runs. An RBI double from Riley Love and a 2-out RBI single. In the backdrop, snow-capped peaks, some rain in the forecast today and tomorrow. Thankfully, nothing major expected during game time. But with the cloud cover, temperatures feel a little bit colder for sure. Texas Tech benefiting from, in spite of those colder temperatures, some red-hot bats in the first 3 innings. They lead 4-1. They already have 3 extra base hits in those first 3 at-bats.
When they're getting hits, they're definitely getting a hold of the ball and hitting it deep, making that BYU defense work.
Alea Agbayani is the batter for BYU to lead things off for the Cougars in the bottom of the third, who are trying to battle back down 3 runs. Alea and her little sister, Ilana, Both daughters of former Major League Baseball player and standout Benny Agbayani. Alea transferring to BYU for her final year, so
I was just going to say little.
Yeah, the sisters
I didn't know that.
get 1 year together before Alea is done with her collegiate career.
Oh, that's fun. I feel like BYU is the place of sisters. There's always sisters on BYU softball squad.
No question those family ties and legacies reign supreme in collegiate sports, certainly at BYU. 2 balls and 2 strikes to the older of the Agbayani sisters. Trying to spark something for this BYU offense in game 1 of 3 in this series against Texas Tech. Alea batting .231 entering today's game. The 2-2 check swing foul off toward the Tech dugout. Count remains 2-2. So the Cal transfer, Alea Agbayani, lays off the rise ball, and it's a full count facing Maddie Keel.
There's a little bit of an interesting defense setup Texas Tech is doing right now. The right fielder is pulled really tight to the right field line and a little bit in, which is really weird for a right-handed hitter.
That's blooped shallow, tough pickup, and Agbayani is safe at first. Wow, bang, bang play. And she is called safe down the line.
That was incredible glove work and play by second baseman.
Look at Reagan Jennings on the short
An
hop.
off-footed throw, very athletic.
Over to Dee McClarity at first base, and they say that BYU's senior transfer, Agbayani, beats out the throw, no challenge from Coach Snyder. So BYU with their leadoff batter on with the infield single and hustle of Agbayani. And now the younger of the sisters, Ilana. The sophomore batting .431 as the Cougars now hit the top of their order once again. Had a fantastic freshman season for BYU in their West Coast Conference finale season. The Cougars hoping that there are rising tides by moving to the Big 12. An issue that they ran into, especially over the last 2 seasons, was the West Coast Conference just, they don't give them the numbers, the metrics, and the RPI as Ilana laces a single into center field. Up the middle, and the Agbayani sisters are now on first and second with no outs in the bottom of the 3rd. But to continue that thought, Taylor, as we look at Agbayani square the bat right there, right past the face mask of Keel, is the Cougars had enough wins, but just not enough on their resume to get BYU into the NCAA tournament in each of the last 2 seasons, and that's been a tough pill to swallow. So BYU hoping that they can, understandably, they'll have the quality there in the Big 12. Can they manufacture enough wins to be a tournament team?
Yeah, and I think being a part of the Big 12 will really help with that. I mean, just in the West Coast Conference, it's just not quite the same. They don't treat you quite the same.
And taking nothing away from an LMU squad that has gone to the NCAA tournament has been great in so many ways, just not enough in that conference to grant multiple bids.
So true.
At least not according to the tournament selection committee. Well, Tech have their own tournament ambitions. As I mentioned earlier, Texas Tech in the preseason coaches poll picked to finish 6th, BYU just behind the Red Raiders and projected 7th. As you look at Maddie Bejarano, a sacrifice bunt to advance Ilana Agbayani in her first at-bat.
And honestly, not a bad situation to bunt again, get runners in second and third. Good scoring position. We'll see what she does.
On a 2-0, Bejarano is swinging and missing for strike 1. So an aggressive mindset right there. On a hitter's count, not to be too surprised there. 2-1. That just misses.
Yeah, wow.
We mentioned the strike zone has been tight on both sides, which certainly favors hitters. And the Tech hitters have taken advantage. 6 of 14 overall. BYU 3 of 8 thus far. 3-1, and Bejarano is walked. The bases are loaded with no outs. And Violet Zavodnik coming to the plate for BYU. Arguably the Cougars' best overall hitter.
Yeah, exactly who you want up at the plate. She did strike out her first at bat, but I mean, that happens, right? Anything can happen this at bat. We know she's consistently good. She squares up a ball here. We have a 3-4 ball game.
It is, like with Tech, a murderer's row for BYU from 2 through 5. And Zavodnik is popped up on the first pitch she sees. Love makes the catch. That's a big first out, and to do so against Zavodnik, no less. So you just retired a player that was batting .460 coming into the game with 6 doubles, 6 home runs, and 20 runs batted in. A slugging percentage of .940 from Zavodnik. But she pops up on the first pitch she sees. It's now Lily Owens up to the plate. And Owens, if you remember, delivered the 1 RBI for BYU today, driving in Ailana Agbayani with that 2-out RBI triple. That is in the dirt. 2 balls and no strikes.
Another not bad hitter. Super good hitter, in fact, and someone you want up to bat in this situation as well, even though there is a couple outs on the board.
Hitters count, 1 down, bases loaded for BYU. The Cougars trailing 4-1, and Owens takes a changeup for a strike. Lily Owens, after that triple, with 6 extra base hits this season. Check swing. She did not go around as they appeal down the third base line. Mike Hernandez says that is a ball. It's 3-1. Huge pitch forthcoming from Keel to Owens. Advantage Keel. Full count.
She took a hack at that, which she should be ready to. 3-1 count. She's definitely trying not to walk a run in, so you're probably going to see a pretty decent pitch.
Full count pitch with the bases loaded and 1 out. Owens strikes out and slams her bat down in the dirt in frustration. Huge strikeout from Maddie Keel. Her 4th strikeout of the game. And now she'll have to deal with Hunter Ava. One more look at the pitch. That's just so good right there, Taylor.
Yeah, great pitch.
Hunter Ava trying to take advantage of the bases loaded scenario. The Cougars had the bases juiced with no outs, then got a first pitch pop up for out number 1 from Violet Zavodnik, and a full count strikeout to Lily Owens. Can Keel get out of a major jam here? She's got strike 1 on Ava. It's 1-1.
The second time through the lineup, it seems she's switching a little bit, maybe a little less rise ball, a little bit more drop ball, which is so hard when pitchers can go up and down as a hitter.
The 1-1, rise ball for strike 2. Maddie Keel showing some real mental fortitude here and control in a pressure-packed scenario. And Ava popped up. This should be no problem. Love makes the catch. What a job by Keel to get out of a math. Welcome back to the Big 12 now on ESPN+. It is the Big 12 opener and home opener for BYU as they host Texas Tech. The Red Raiders with a 4-1 lead as we hit the top of the 4th inning. Joining us now on headset from the BYU dugout is the longtime head coach of BYU softball, Gordon Eakin. And Coach, obviously working through some frustration after a bases-loaded scenario where it looked like you had some real promise there. What did you see from Maddie Keel, the Texas Tech pitcher, that made things tough on your hitters there in the heart of the lineup?
I'm not sure I saw so much from her as our pitch selection. We just have to be, bases loaded with 3, 4, 5 up. We just have to be better than that.
Nice play by your catcher, Haley Morrow. To throw out Abby Orrick down the first base line on the early bunt attempt by Texas Tech. There's one down here in the fourth. Coach, as you watch Chloe Temple's pitch, what are you seeing from your left-hander, and how would you assess her performance thus far?
She's not throwing the way she's capable of throwing so far. She had some issues with warm-up with rib pain, and she's trying to work through that. She's a warrior. She's working through that, and I don't think it's a long-term problem, but it's something that reared its head about 15 minutes before the game, and we're just trying to deal with.
Yeah, and these are the challenges that arise, and you just kind of got to roll. We saw Kate Daly up in the bullpen. How much more are you hoping to get from Temples here?
I think if we can get her through this inning, we'll probably switch her so that we don't overinflame that rib or whatever it is, and so we have her later in the weekend. But we'll just try to get through this weekend. We'll assess, and we'll go on from there.
And again, this is Big 12 opener. This is an exciting era for BYU. As you just kind of look big picture, I know we're in the moment of this game with a 1-1 count and one out to Kennedy Kreitz, but what type of challenge are you awaiting from not just Tech but this Big 12 conference?
Well, it's just full of great teams, and so we just need to be on our game every single game like every other sport does in the Big 12. It's no different in softball. I think it's the premier up top to bottom conference in softball with the teams that are in it right now, and we're just going to have to be on our game every single day or we're not going to like the results.
Coach, we appreciate the time. I need to compliment you on doing this interview in a scenario like that. Like, you're a true professional to come on with us in the heat of battle.
Yeah, no problem.
Gordon Eakin with us, the BYU head coach, as part of our ESPN Plus coverage of Big 12 softball. Temples and another bunt from Texas Tech. Ava, good play. And BYU records 2 outs on 2 separate bunt attempts. It's a quick 1-2-3 inning defensively in the top of the fourth. And the Cougars and Temple specifically needed that in the worst way. The head coach of Texas Tech, he is Craig Snyder in his second season coach. Congratulations thus far. I know it's still early in your career at Texas Tech, but been fun to watch your offense really spark last season, and that's carried over into this season.
Yeah, they've done a good job. They're looking for certain pitches, and it's been a lot of fun, a lot of belief in this crowd and this crew. So good to see that.
Well, Riley Love, it doesn't take long when you're looking at the numbers to pay attention to what a special season she is having, and she delivered just last inning, bringing in another run in that 2-run third inning. What has Riley Love meant to your team this season?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, the season she's having right now is absolutely remarkable. And so here's the leader, on the field and, at the plate and what she's doing. And she's such a good ball player. And, she's really having the season that we always thought she could have, which is really special.
Well, Maddie Keel having a nice season as well and has done a fantastic job getting out of a bases-loaded no-outs jam in the bottom of the third against BYU's heart of the lineup. Keel showing some real mental fortitude. What's allowed her to take a step forward this season as well?
Well, her development in the offseason, our new pitching coach, Bryce DeColve, has done such a phenomenal job with her, and the development of her and being able to, execute pitches up and down on both sides of the plate, and just the belief that she has right now is just so much fun to have and see in our pitching staff.
Well, Coach, again, 17-4 in non-conference play, and you got some nice wins in there, but we all know the Big 12 Conference is a different beast. You certainly have gone through that excursion last season. What do you expect to maintain this season in Big 12 play and maybe be a little bit different from your first go-around?
Well, the thing about the Big 12 is it's one of the best softball conferences in the nation, if not the best. I mean, 1, 2, and 3 in the nation are in our conference, and you've got, Baylor in the top 25, and it's going to be a war, right? It's always going to be a dogfight. So that's just part of it, and you hope to continue to fight and have that belief and, keep executing what we've been doing all season.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time and you joining us mid-game. Hopefully the temperatures aren't too chilly down there, and four runs have warmed you up a little bit.
Absolutely. It's not too bad at all. If we can do this the rest of the week, and I'm okay with that.
Right on, Coach. We appreciate the time. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you all for having us.
You got it. The Red Raiders feeling good right now, about a 3-run advantage. Granted, you never like to have a leadoff walk, but we just talked about Keel getting out of a bases-loaded no-out scenario an inning ago, and so typically, those are the things that drive coaches nuts. But Taylor, she's just shown some real mental toughness here.
Yeah, and it's hard to go a game without having a walk. You know, that's just part of pitching and not throwing it close enough that the batters can hit it over the fence. You're going to have those sometimes, and it's just a matter of working through those.
There you look at Reagan Jennings. Short-handed infield for Texas Tech, led by Jennings and Abby Orrick. Love not bad on the hot corner at third base as well. Kamoku is the batter for BYU, and she takes ball one inside. It's 1-1. Correction on that. It is Maddie Udall. Kamoku is on deck for BYU. And Udall. A sharp single into right center field. And BYU with runners safely on first and second and no outs. Now the question is, can BYU capitalize unlike the third inning when they stranded three?
Yeah, very nice hit. And like Coach Eakin mentioned, it's pitch selection, right? If they're not swinging at good pitches, it's really hard to get a good hit. So hopefully they come with that mentality this inning, as they have so far.
A bunt is down from Kamoku, and she advances the runners to second and third respectively. So Kayla Kamoku does her job, which will bring up Alea Agbayani and Ailana Agbayani on deck.
That was a key bunt right there. Laid that down perfectly. Gosh, and right down the first base line. That's really hard to do. And she executed that so well.
First pitch staring at a strike is Agbayani. Lexi Bennett is the pinch runner for BYU. Who took over for Haley Morrow. And that's a ground ball. This should score a run. It will. Tag is applied at third base for out number 2 on the ground ball to short. So Love is tagged out. And I think Gordon Eakin may challenge that tag was never applied by Love on Maddie Udall. So here's another look. Oh, that's tough to tell. Like,
yeah.
Does the tag hit her knee? We're going to have a way more definitive angle to try and determine that, but there will be a coach's challenge. Gordon Eakin has called it in. Udall remains on third. BYU gets the run in.
And that's tough base running too, because she could have stayed, you know, in between second and third, seeing where shortstop was making a throw before heading over to third.
Yeah, so from our vantage point up in the press box, it looked like the tag hit up high and that maybe Udall's foot was on the bag before the glove. See, you can see Udall does a good job.
Sure.
Does a good job sliding in to try and avoid any contact, but I just don't know if there's enough to overturn.
That's so dang close.
Yeah, that angle is not going to be the one. Like, you can see Udall, her foot's not on the bag. Is the glove applied there before the foot touches the bag? The other angle offers a little bit better look.
It's hard, though, because it's a little farther away.
Oh, man, I think that her glove hits just before Udall touches third base.
Yeah, I'd agree. So close, though.
Worthy of a challenge for sure. And the umpires will see the angles, certainly that we have a conversation and make a decision, but I'd be shocked if they allow Udall to remain on third base here. This is a rather quick review, too.
And that's where I was talking. It's tough because she did not have to go to third, right? And that's risky to run to third on that play when she could have stayed at second instead of runner in scoring position.
So an appropriate challenge. Udall heads back. Riley Love, you see her wipe the sweat off her brow in relief. Smile on her face, and there are 2 down. Alea Agbayani remains on first. And Agbayani will get credit for that RBI, putting the ball in play and driving in the pinch runner Lexi Bennett. So both of the Agbayani sisters discussing things with Gordon Eakin and Allie Hancock-Schneeman, who is down the first baseline as an assistant for the Cougars. Ilana 1 for 1. Drew a walk in her first at bat, singled into center field back in the 3rd inning. And that pitch gets away at home off the glove of Kreitz, and BYU has a runner in scoring position. The Cougars have added a run here in the bottom of the 4th to cut the Tech lead in half at 4-2. Texas Tech with 4 runs on 6 hits. 3 of those 6 hits, extra base knocks, a home run, and a couple of doubles. BYU with 2 runs on 4 hits. The Cougars have stranded 4.
This has been a really clean ball game today, too. No errors from either side. I mean, that pass ball we just saw is one of the biggest little hiccups that either team has had today. Really clean defense.
Taryn Lennon is the pinch runner for BYU. She replaces Alea Agbayani at second base.
Taryn Lennon.
A ball and no strikes. Make it 2 balls and no strikes to the younger of the Agbayani sisters. Cougar shortstop with the 1-for-1 performance today and that single in the 3rd inning, batting .441 on the season. Hitters count here, and that one is hit well into left field, but it slices into the glove and is caught by Ariana Villa for an important 3rd out. So Villa secures the catch. That'll end the Cougar scoring threat. Cougars, Kate Daly is your relief pitcher for BYU, taking over for the left-handed starter Chloe Temples. Temples going 4 innings and leaves after surrendering 4 runs to Texas Tech. The Red Raiders lead by 2, and Daly delivers ball 1 with Dee McClarity. McClarity, the sophomore out of Garland, Texas, takes ball 2 alone inside from Daly.
That sun's starting to go down a little bit. It looks like it's getting chillier and chillier by the minute out there. I'm glad we're in the press box where it's warm.
2 balls and no strikes. Make it 3-0, and Daly struggling to find the strike zone as she takes over for Temples in relief. And certainly wanting to avoid a leadoff walk. 4 pitches, 4 balls. Dee McClarity is safely on at first base. And once again, BYU's pitching coach, Pete Meredith, into the circle.
Yeah, she's just struggling to find that strike zone a little bit, missing low a lot. She's freshman, first game on at Miller Park on this field. A little bit nerve-wracking, especially in a conference game. So hopefully she pulls it together for these next couple batters, makes them put some in play and let her defense work for her.
Daly out of Tremont, Utah, Bear River High School product. 5'10" right-hander. And now we'll face Ariana Villa, who hit her 5th home run of the season and started the scoring for Texas Tech in the top of the first with that 2-run blast over the center field fence. Here's the first strike from Dally. Dally flirting with that outside corner. That's ball 1. So in her freshman campaign, the right-hander with a 1.77 earned run average has made 3 starts, has actually thrown a complete game, and has pitched 31 2/3 innings coming into today. The 1-1 and the off-speed offering fools Villa. And there's 1 down, an important out for BYU.
Yeah. Great pitch, and that's what happens when you start off the count throwing strikes. You're able to work in those other pitches that you have, and it keeps batters guessing more rather than just waiting for you to have to throw a strike because you're down in the count. That's exactly what Kate needs to be doing.
Riley Love jammed a little bit inside. That's fouled back into the protective netting here for strike 1. Alongside Taylor Williams, I'm Spencer Linton. Great to have you with us for game 1 of 3 in this Big 12 series opener for both the Red Raiders and Cougars. The 0-1. Rise ball, and you can almost feel Dally's confidence growing with each pitch.
Yeah, looking much better. And not afraid to keep the ball tight and in high on the hands of this strong Texas Tech hitter, which was what she has to do to beat her and make her hit something not very well that can be defended by her defense.
Riley Love hit her 9th double of the season in her last at bat. That one's outside for ball 1, so the count now a ball and 2 strikes with 1 down. Dee McClarity, the sophomore, at first base after drawing the leadoff walk. The 1-2. And that's laced into center field. And Zavodnik stabs at it. She'll try and double up McClarity, but that throw's not going to be in time. Wow. I thought that ball was going to sail over the glove of Zavodnik. It was hit so hard, but what a catch by BYU's senior center fielder.
Yeah. What a snag. And those liners that don't go very high, they're super hard to read as a defender. So I'm not surprised she took a few steps in before realizing she didn't make the right read. But wow, what a catch. And to just turn around and throw to one, like on a dime, not even think about it. Very athletic, good play by Zavodnik. BYU needed that for sure.
There are 2 down, and Love. Boy, it's tough to retire Riley Love at all. So you'll take those outs any way you can get them. I mean, that close to another extra base hit, but Zavodnik makes, in many ways, what feels like, for the Cougars' chances, a game-saving catch potentially here in the 5th inning.
Yeah, that gets by her. You have 1, maybe 2 runners in scoring position. Just makes it a lot tougher.
And then a freshman, and they start to feel the pressure, but now it's just such a game of momentum for sure, especially with younger pitchers involved here. And Kate Dally with a ball and a strike and 2 outs. That runner still on first facing Kaylee Wyckoff, and now she's 1 strike away from keeping the Red Raiders hard of the lineup scoreless in the top of the 5th. Wyckoff, good patience right there. Stays away from the rise ball. That's high and away in the zone. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down. And a runner on first for Tech. The Red Raiders leading 4-2. And that one is going to be looped safely into shallow right field. McClarity will have to stay at second with Alea Agbayani getting to that ball quickly. But the Red Raiders extend the inning and are poised now for a potential 2-out rally here.
Spencer, I don't know if you could hear Texas Tech's dugout calling sit right before that pitch. They knew that it was going to be a changeup, and that's tough mentally for BYU's pitcher, Kate Daly, knowing that they know what she's going to throw. So either her grip's got to change, they're picking up on the sign somehow.
Demi Elder. Will try and extend this inning. And that's a great point you bring up. Can BYU figure out a way to disguise some pitches that are being picked off? The 1-0. And diving stab is not grabbed. Play at the plate. Not in time. McClarity slides in safely. It's 5-2 Texas Tech. That's a good throw in left field by Maddie Bejarano on line, but McClarity got a great jump on that swing. And the ball coming off the bat from Demi Elder.
Yeah, and that little deflection off Agbayani's glove, which if she knocks it down, no run scores, but it also would have got through a little bit faster, maybe making a play at home plate a little bit closer.
The Cougars not out of the woods yet here in the top of the 5th. Reagan Jennings looking to add to this. A 2-out RBI single off the bat of Demi Elder. Scores that leadoff walk. Those are killers.
Killers. I think it's so statistically high if you have a leadoff walk that the other team's going to score.
2 balls now and no strikes to Jennings from Daly. Tack on 1 more run for Tech here in the 5th. It's 5-2 Red Raiders in the series opener. Looking to extend on that lead. On the ground, and that's past another diving infielder for BYU. Past the outstretched glove of Kamoku, and Texas Tech has scored 2 runs with 2 outs on the board here in the 5th inning alone to make it 6-2.
And like you said earlier, it's all about momentum, right? And Texas Tech has had the momentum the majority of this game today. They just keep finding holes. And hitting's contagious, I swear. Couple people get on, and it's just like it seems easier to get on.
Well, Demi Elder and Reagan Jennings with their 2-out RBIs both have 6 runs driven in. It's not over yet. Off the wall in left field. 2 more runs score. It's a 4-run 5th inning for Tech. All 4 runs have come across with those 2 outs up on the board. 8-2 Tech. They have blown this game wide open in the 5th. Abby Orrick batting just .246, lowest batting average of anybody in the starting lineup for the Red Raiders. Delivers her 2nd double of the season and RBI numbers 12 and 13, and she lets her dugout hear about it. Clutch hitting from the Red Raiders, to say the least here.
Looks like we're going to have a pitching switch, maybe.
And you're right, Daly, it was a short outing. Offensive barrage has just continued for Texas Tech. And now they're doing it on the road in Big 12 play against a BYU team that is very competitive. I mean, this is not New Mexico State. This is not Merrimack College. This is BYU and on the road, and they put up 8 on the Cougars in game number 1. Very impressive from Tech. Madez does her job. She gets the ground out at first to end the inning. Runs on the board. Bases loaded, no outs. Not one BYU runner saw the play.
Yeah. And it's all about timely hitting, honestly. Like, when the runners are on base, that's when you need to hit. And that's generally the team that wins, because that's when you're able to score those runs. Just tough that BYU missed that opportunity.
Maddie Bejarano will lead things off for BYU. The good news for the Cougars, if you're a BYU fan, is that the heart of the lineup is due up here in the 5th. And it features batters that are averaging 512, 460, 479, and 351. Led by Bejarano's 512.
Yeah, even though BYU is down 6 right now, I mean, we've seen crazier things. And they still have a couple innings to do it. But a couple runs this inning tacked on would really help this BYU offense and BYU team as a whole to have some confidence finishing out this game.
Maddie Bejarano with the 3rd best batting average in the Big 12. Number 1 on-base percentage at .603 coming into the game, and that's what she does. She gets on base, draws a walk right there.
Do you think she writes "walk me" on her helmet before she goes? It's incredible how much she walks. Most patient hitter, she knows that strike zone really well, and if it's not there, she's not swinging.
Bejarano now with 14 walks drawn this season. And Violet Zavodnik trying to get going here late in this game. They're being maybe a little bit too aggressive, struck out in the 1st, and then with those bases loaded in the 3rd inning, swung at the first pitch she saw, and that's what Gordon Eakin was referencing, just swinging at a pitch out of the zone, created a pop-up scenario, and that was a really, really big first out in that jam for Maddie Keel. There's strike 2. BYU fans don't like that call from Aaron Peterson behind home plate. It's 0-2.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't really seen that one too much today be called a strike, so I can see where they would be upset.
And Zavodnik again in the air into left field. The catch is made for the first out in the bottom of the 5th. And that will leave Maddie Bejarano on first. Ariana Villa making the play in left field for the Red Raiders. Lily Owens struck out against Kiel in the 3rd. Had an RBI triple to open BYU scoring in the 1st inning. Texas Tech in control, up 6 runs, 8-2. Owens fouled back right side. 1-1. When you look at hitters 2 through 5 for BYU, I just mentioned how strong they have been. Owens is really the only one that's delivered anything, and she does it again. Her 2nd extra base hit of the day, and her 2nd triple. 2 RBI triples for Lily Owens as she drives in the speedy Maddie Bejarano, and it's 8-3. The Cougars trying to spark something here in the latter part of this game.
She has good hands on those outside pitches. Hits it to the right side hard, which generally it's easier to hit it deeper to that left side as a right-handed hitter, but she's fast. She was hustling and gets so excited when she gets to 3rd. Love that energy she has. What do you think this is that BYU is doing? Like, is it row the boat? Like, I'm curious.
I'm not even going to try and pretend that I can interpret that. Hunter
I haven't
Ava
seen that one before.
down the left field line. Almost a fantastic catch in left field by Villa. A great effort by Tech's left fielder. So Ava back into the box. Now the skin of her teeth to see at least one more pitch from Keel.
I feel like some of these BYU hitters, they are swinging for the fence today, which they're good hitters and they can, but Keel provides the power. She's throwing hard. I feel like the focus needs to shift a little bit more to just squaring up the ball, watching the spin and making sure you square it up. And we'll see less of those pop-ups and wimpy grounders that we're seeing.
Ava, 1-1. I feel like that's an accurate depiction for some of those grounders. Like that's wimpy.
Wimpy.
The slow rollers.
That's what I meant.
Not to say that these hitters for BYU, especially where we are in this lineup, are not power hitters, because they are all very much swinging power bats. But that's a sign of good pitching. When you can take a power bat and you get these weak grounders off the bat, man, credit to the pitching.
Yeah, so true.
Ava jammed inside a little bit, but fights that off. Back for another foul ball. The count remains a ball and 2 strikes. Keel has thrown 92 pitches. Has given up some extra base hits, and certainly the 3 runs here today, but has really figured it out when it's gotten tough. Ava figures out that pitch and will have extra bases. Hunter Ava rowing the boat.
Yeah. It's got to mean something different than that, but we like it.
Well, granted, we did hear from Violet Zavodnik in a conversation earlier today that she had mentioned something about doing your part in the boat and rowing the boat. So maybe it is as simple as that.
Go. Team motto this year. Great hit by Ava. Nice to see her get a hold of a ball like we know she can. Keeping that momentum going. BYU has it right now, that's for sure.
And just maybe BYU has figured out Keel, and that'll be it for the talented pitcher for Texas Tech. And there will be a pitching change. Body of work is just a hair better. All that said, these are two very evenly matched teams, which is why they're picked to finish 6th and 7th respectively in the Big 12 preseason coaches poll. Haley Morrow is the batter for BYU, and she's quickly down 0-2 to Olivia Raines with 1 out, and Ava, or rather a pinch runner for BYU on second base, in Abby Gillespie, who takes over for Hunter Ava, who just delivered that RBI double, and Raines. Well, it's nice to have that weapon in your relief pitcher arsenal.
Yeah, wow.
How good was that?
And such a switch up from Keel's style of pitching. That's just so hard as a BYU lineup to see that after seeing Keel for just about 5 innings.
Maddie Udall is swinging and missing. 4 pitches, 4 strikes for Olivia Raines. Udall on the ground, that is a foul ball, and it's 0-2. So the 5 pitches, 5 strikes scenario remains in play for Raines, as the Red Raiders will try and get out of this inning, still in front by 4 runs. The Cougars have already plated 2 here in the 5th frame to cut Tech's lead in half at 8-4. Ooh, and Tech thought that was strike 3. It did not miss by much.
Yeah. Maybe just a little bit high.
Well, Raines has been saying with Texas Tech that she has a theme this season, which is saving the best for last. Mentioned the perfect 5-0 record she has in the circle this season. Recently shut out New Mexico State, allowing just 2 hits, 1-2, and Udall continues to battle for BYU.
I think that was one of the first hard pitches we've seen from her. She's throwing a lot of that off-speed change-up stuff, which is keeping these hitters on their toes.
Another 1-2. Strike 3 swinging. Olivia Raines making quick work of BYU's. BYU, the Cougars, do get 2 back in that 5th frame. But it is certainly Advantage Tech in this series opener. Games 2 and 3 on Friday and Saturday. And Tech wearing the all-black uniforms with white numbers and red trim against BYU in the all-white with royal blue trim and blue letters. As Gianna Mares
She's popping the glove a little. She looks like she's throwing hard.
takes the count to 1-1 against Logan Holloman. Holloman, ground ball, and that finds some space. That's at least the 3rd different ground ball we have seen off a Texas Tech bat, just strategically hit to the right place.
Yeah, I wonder if they practice that. Right in that 3-4 hole.
It's great execution. And now BYU again has to worry about the speedster Holloman on first base. Granted, she was called out for leaving early on a stolen base attempt earlier in the game. Mares delivers high and inside to D. McClarity. Throw down, a snap throw to first. Just to keep Holloman honest. And that'll take us to the 1-0 pitch from Mares to McClarity. And that should be a successful stolen base. It is. Didn't leave early that time. So Holloman now, if you take away being called out for leaving early, she's still perfect of sorts, 10 for 10. That when you're called out, that doesn't necessarily count against these statistics because you weren't thrown out.
Yeah. And Mara was trying to get a strike on that pitch. She held the frame a little bit, which I feel like is hard to do when you have someone so speedy on first base. You can't really get away with that as much.
McClarity, ball and a strike. Holloman now on second after the stolen base, in scoring position and no outs. Ball 2 from Mares. And a foul ball for strike 2. A good contingent of Texas Tech fans making the trip to Provo as well.
I was going to say, I'm impressed with how many of them came. They're all bundled up, that's for sure.
They're well prepared. They know the drill. It's March in Provo, Utah.
Yeah, do you think they heard there was snow here this week?
McClarity, fly ball in the left field, catch is made by Bejarano. And that is the first out in the 6th inning. So Holloman remains on second as we move back to the top of the order for Texas Tech. And ball 1 delivered outside from Mares to Ariana Villa. The Red Raiders, as a team, are a combined 11 for 26 against BYU pitching today. There's a team batting average of .423. That includes 5 extra base hits. And perhaps most impressively, Taylor, Tech a combined 6 for 10 with 2 outs on the board.
Wow.
2-0. Change up and a good one from Mares. She really pulled the string there.
Yeah, she wanted that one. I think she wanted to say that she didn't go for it, though, but I think that was definitely a wrist break.
Strike two, delivered on the outside corner. We're seeing some big opportunities for some young BYU pitchers here. Temple's the senior, got the start, yes. But as we learned from Coach Gordon Eakin, wasn't feeling right. Was dealing with a little bit of an injury. As that's on the ground. Shortstop. Agbayani makes the play over to Abba at first. As Holloman will advance to third on the throw over to first for out number 2. But again, Temple's physically not feeling great today for BYU. Got beat up a little bit in the circle. Brought in Kate Daly, and then Daly only lasted 2/3 of an inning before she had to give up the ball to now Gianna Mares, who is, for the most part, looking pretty sharp here,
Yeah,
Taylor.
she's doing pretty good. And props to Temples to throwing the amount of innings she did with not feeling too well. A hurt ribbon pitching does not sound fun to me, especially when it's cold out.
And apparently started to feel that discomfort about 15 to 20 minutes before the game starts. And you're in a real pickle
Yeah,
at that point.
tough.
Like, what? Your team is preparing. You've scouted. You've gone through all of the preparation, and then your starting pitcher is unfortunately not feeling great. But to Tech's credit, they take advantage. Score 4 on Temples in 3 innings of work, and really get after the freshman Kate Daly in the 5th. But another freshman, Mares, trying to maximize her opportunity here and keep Tech scoreless in the 6th, and she just might do it. Gianna Mares. BYU will enter game number 2 of this 3-game set. And Saturday, the finale, that at 2 Eastern, noon Mountain Time. Spencer Linton and Taylor Williams with you on the Big 12 now on ESPN+. Tech, 8 impressive runs in game 1. And leading BYU by 4 as we enter the bottom of the 6th. Kayla Kamoku, who made the play at second base defensively to end the top half of the 6th inning, facing Olivia Rains, who, I mean, it's only been 2 batters, Taylor, now 3 with Kamoku, but you can see why OU recruited and was so high on Rains.
Yes.
She's got some special stuff, and she has relieved the starter, Maddie Keel, trying to take care of Kamoku here. What was wrong with that? I don't know. Again, the theme for the pitchers here today has been that it is a tight strike zone. 2 balls, 2 strikes to the leadoff batter for BYU in the bottom of the 6th. And a changeup misses high, full count.
Didn't think we'd see 3 balls in a count with her after last inning. But that's what you need at the end of last inning, someone to come in and to throw strikes.
Oh, what a play down the hot corner by Love, and the throw from her knees. Riley Love, so good offensively, probably overshadows what a solid defender she is too.
Yeah, great snag on that ball.
Oh.
And the right choice to throw from her knees. I mean, such a close play. She had to.
And can we get some love for the glove, if you will, from Riley Love? Alea Agbayani with 1 out, nobody on. Opportunities. It goes maybe without saying, but I'll say it anyway. Running thin for BYU late in this game.
Yeah, they only have about 5 more outs to work with to make up a 4-run difference. At the rate they've been going, that's going to be tough to do in those next 2 innings.
And that is off the very end of the bat. Rain stays with it and makes the play. Well, a little nubber off the end of the bat from Alea Agbayani. It was bobbled by Rains, and you thought just maybe that Agbayani was going to beat it out. But that's a great job by Rains to just kind of like sidearm
Yeah, she stuck
that
with
thing
that.
over to first base.
Gosh, and sometimes it's hard when you're pitching and that's your focus. And then all of a sudden they hit it right back at you and you have to field it and make a throw to first when that's not necessarily your duty most of the time throughout the game. Props to her to sticking with that play.
2 down. Top of the order for BYU. Strike 1 from Rains to Ailana Agbayani. And there's a called strike. So the tough part about that is I see that pitch and I'm like, I feel like we've seen that pitch a number of times in the exact same place be called a ball.
Yeah,
So
makes it tough for sure.
makes it tough on pitchers, no question.
Yes. Makes them have to bring it into the zone a little bit more. Maybe that's why we're seeing so many balls to the fence.
So many extra base hits
Yeah.
between both teams. I mean, we've had 8 combined extra base hits, 5 for Tech, 3 for BYU. 1 and 2, 2 down. There's another ball in the dirt from Rains.
More of bigger misses right there. Missing a couple feet in front of the plate. Seems to be more of a hard ball. Maybe she's trying to throw a drop right now. But that changeup that she has seems to be really zoned in.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, nobody on. And Ailana has worked it to a full count. Well, unlike Tech, who have been so good with 2 outs hitting, Taylor, 6 for 11. BYU just 1 for 6 in those scenarios and make it 1 for 7. Rains looks super sharp. How about racing for a Big 12 road opening win at BYU? Gianna Matez is the pitcher for the Cougars. And the freshman for BYU, in her limited time, she too has looked pretty sharp. Maybe this is a tryout of sorts as she enters Big 12 competition, telling her BYU coaches, look, maybe I deserve a little bit more run here,
Yeah.
a little bigger spotlight.
And nice to have another lefty in the mix. Those lefty pitchers, especially against a team that's really left-handed dominant hitters, it's just a different look and it's harder for them
No
to
question. Kaylee Wyckoff is the batter for Tech, the designated player, batting .338, 9 runs driven in and a home run. And Wyckoff today, 2 for 3. The pitch is high. Wyckoff had a double in the first and a single in the 5th. The freshman left-hander with the 1-2 count. That is fouled sharply on the ground, past third base and into left field, so the count remains at a ball and 2 strikes. You talk about the left-handed pitchers. If you missed it earlier in the broadcast, Texas Tech, well, they don't have many deficiencies, but when you look at the statistics, one of the more glaring ones is that in a 17-4 record, I mean, you've won 17 to 21 games. 2 of the 4 losses have come against left-handed starters. So not surprisingly, BYU opted to go with Chloe Temples, a left-handed starter. Some rib pain, tough scenario, forced Temples out of her usual game. Not quite the confidence there, and Tech took advantage to the tune of 4 runs against Temples. But here is Matez, who does not have rib pain, at least that we know of, as a left-hander, and she's having some success against a really talented offensive lineup thus far.
Yeah, she's been doing a really good job. She's throwing strikes. She's making these hitters earn it.
And just like that, Wyckoff says, left hand this. Pulls a single into right field. So a leadoff single for Kaylee Wyckoff, who is now 3 for 4 on her day with 2 singles and a double.
And again, another hit in that 3-4 gap. Like, it's incredible the amount of hits we've seen go in that gap today that are just out of Ava and
Kamoku's hands, right?
Hands,
sometimes off the tip of the glove or past a diving infielder. The right field has been busy for both sides. BYU's extra base hits primarily have come in right field, specifically from Lily Owens.
Yes.
So Wyckoff on first. Tech trying to build on their 8-4 lead. Here is Demi Elder. And Elder, too, has had a nice afternoon batting in the number 5 spot. She's 2 for 3. The junior with a single and an RBI in the 3rd inning and another RBI single in the 5th. Strike 1 delivered from Mares.
A very nice spot, tight and low on that inside half of the plate, right where you want it.
The 1-1 swung on and missed. So Mares now ahead in the count at 1-2.
To help themselves out going into the bottom of the 7th inning, if BYU could get out of this inning scoreless and leave it just to an 8-4 ball game, it's going to make their lives a lot easier as they try to have a little bit of a rally and come back and win this game.
Of note, BYU does have 2, 3, and 4 due up in the bottom of the 7th with Bejarano, Zavodnik, and Lily Owens, followed by Hunter Ava. 1-2 to Elder. On the ground, and that is just foul, scooped up by Ava. But we'll have another 1-2 pitch.
And Hamlin was going on that pitch. I mean, it was a foul ball, but hopefully Morrow is heads up behind home plate right now to at least give an attempt of a throw out at second if she tries to go again.
So the pinch runner, Hamlin, back to first. Strike 3 called. Elder goes down looking against Mares. So Gianna Mares has gone an inning and 2/3, now has her first strikeout. Has faced 7 batters, given up 2 hits, but more importantly in the inning and 2/3 against this Tech lineup has not surrendered a run. Another foul tip at home plate behind the dish. Strike 1 to Reagan Jennings. Throw down to second offline, and the pinch runner Hamlin is in safely with another stolen base.
And great snag on that throw by Kamoku. That gets by her. She could be up and headed to third.
The senior utility player, J.C. Hamlin, into scoring position, still with just the 1 out. So Mares trying to keep, at least as far as her innings have gone, that goose egg on the board, and keep BYU within relative striking distance. Jennings 1 for 3. Her lone base hit was an RBI single as part of that 4-run 5th. Ball 1 outside on the 0-2 pitch. Correction on the count, now 2-2. On the ground. That's going to get past Kamoku. And another RBI single for Reagan Jennings, her second of the game, and Tech has 9 on the board.
Man, and kind of unfortunate, Spencer. She didn't hit that ball very well, but just hard enough to get through. And because it is a little slower, Zavodnik doesn't have a chance at a play at the plate. It's just not even worth the throw at that point.
Well, you've got a shift on, understandably, with a left-handed pull slap type hitter.
And especially because everything has been going to the right side.
So you understand why BYU's defense is lined up for something like that. But again, credit to opportunistic hitters for Texas Tech and their ability to place the ball against BYU's defense.
They find
today.
holes, that's for sure.
It has been notable, to say the least. So Texas Tech with 2 in the first, 2 in the third, 4 in the fifth, and now 1 in the seventh. Lead by 5, looking to add to it. That one's hit so hard for another single off the bat of Abby Orrick that Jennings is going to be forced to hold up at second base.
Gosh, these Texas Tech hitters just square up the ball. Like roped line drives consistently 1 through 9. It's really impressive hitting that they are showing today. 14
hits now for the Red Raiders. Ball one outside to Kennedy Kreitz. And now Mares laboring a little bit. There is ball 2, missing the zone. Foul tip for strike 1. Two and 1 to Kreitz. Great pitch from Mares.
Beautiful pitch.
The changeup makes it 2-2. Well, with these 14 hits from Tech today at BYU, it has now been almost a full year since Texas Tech has accomplished that feat. They last did it on March 10th of last season against Manhattan.
Yeah, 14 hits in a game is impressive.
So that is a season best for the Red Raiders in the hit category. Looking for more, another sharply hit ball on a line into right field. Count stays at 2 balls and 2 strikes. The catcher, Kennedy Kreitz, with runners on first and second. Tech having already plated 1 here in the 7th, leading 9-4. And Kreitz continues to battle with Mares here. Pitches in the dirt. Runners will advance to second and third.
And Morrow does her best to handle that ball. At least she keeps it in front of her. That's a tough pitch to grab out of the dirt.
Full count now to Morrow, rather to Kreitz, with Morrow behind home plate after that ball got away. Ball 4, and the bases are loaded.
Tough situation for the Cougars. I mean, you really do not want any more runs on the board if you're trying to come back and win this game in the bottom of the 7th inning. But with bases loaded and 1 out, that's really tough. Possible, but tough.
Strike 1 to Logan Holloman. So Kreitz, who is on first base and draws that walk, that's the first time she has reached safely. And now every batter in the lineup in Texas Tech's starting 9 has reached safely.
Wow.
Holloman, foul territory, strike 2.
I feel like it's not very often 1 through 9. They all get a hit in a game or reach safe. Like, that's crazy. Very impressive to have such a well-rounded team 1 through 9. Because, you know, usually there's a player or two that are having an off day and just are going to go 0 for the day, and that's just how it is.
Well, Holloman, like many of her other teammates, multiple hits today. 2 for 3. A bunt single in the 2nd. And a single in the 6th as well. Tech a combined 14 for 32 at the plate, batting .438 as a team today.
And that's hard to beat. Team's batting .438. Gosh.
Runners in scoring position, they are 6 for 13. That is definitely the scenario here with the bases loaded. Changeup.
Wow.
That drops in
good.
a little bit low for ball 1.
But a nice spot right where you want it. Don't want to add her knees where she can do something with it. You want it just below, hoping that she chases it, but not a bad spot at all.
The 1-2 popped up. This looks playable, and it is caught. The tag home and just out of the reach for the 10th run. Tech scoring, but a throw down to third will retire Orick, who is sliding in and thrown out. We may have a challenge here at third base. So to recap all of that just happened, incredible catch by Agbayani falling into the fence from her shortstop position down the third base line. She throws home not in time as Jennings scored. Orick was advancing to third as well on the play. BYU with the snap throw down to third after the missed tag at home. And they say that Orick is out.
Super heads up by everyone in the BYU defense to catch that, immediately know to turn and throw. And Morrow sees no chance at home, so she goes third with it and gets that last out.
So discussion happening. Now, did they just change the call? Did they just say safe before even looking at the replay? Because initially she was called out. Then I saw a safe signal. Texas Tech's dugout erupts. And now they're going to go over to the video monitor.
Well, and I feel like the question is, the ball was there. It's just, did she miss the tag? It almost looked like she didn't get her leg quite in time as she was sliding in and missed the tag.
Well, that's big, because if they have overturned the call on the field before you go to video replay, then that is, if it's too close to tell, now they'll default to the call that they determined was the call on the field, which is now runner is safe. You be the judge. Was the foot under the tag?
Yeah,
and
that's
is Orick
tough.
safe?
Because it looked like the tag was just too far to the left almost.
You just saw a couple of replays. Udall applied the tag at third base. Right now, Tech leading 10-4. They're showing 2 outs on the board. The second out was made on the catch in foul territory by Agbayani. This inning will extend if indeed Oric is ruled safe after video review.
And it's so nice that they have video review on plays like that. It's just so close to not be able to see it in slow motion at different angles.
Well, I still just can't understand or get over the fact that the call's made at third base by the third base umpire, who's all over it, right?
Yeah.
That she's out. But then a conversation with Mike Hernandez and Aaron Peterson, the home plate umpire, and it's then overturned to safe, and then they go look at the video replay. I can't recall ever seeing that sequence of events.
So true. I'm curious to what call they're going to make on that.
Well, again, this is advantage Texas Tech because it's a close play. So you typically default to the call on the field if you can't tell definitively. And can you tell definitively that the tag is applied there?
Yeah, I don't think you can.
So I think she's going to be safe.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate for BYU, who really would love to get out of this inning.
Well, a very long game.
Yeah.
Gets dragged out that much longer. I mean, we are more than 2.5 hours into this contest.
There's been a lot of call reviews this game, lots of pitching switches. Makes for a long one.
Well, and a lot of offense, a lot of scoring, right?
True.
13 combined runs, 20 combined hits, at least 3 video challenges. And we're going to have a call now from Aaron Peterson, who is off the headset. And if we could play a drum roll sound effect right now, we would.
Let's hear your best one.
I'll do a lot of things, but I don't know that I will do that.
Come on. I mean, don't ask me to do it because I don't know how to do it. But
and they rule the runner safe. Okay, so as I anticipated, when they overturned the call to safe at third, there was not going to be enough with those angles and a close play like that to definitively say, no, we were right the first time. She was out.
yeah.
Tough break indeed for Gianna Mares, the freshman pitcher for BYU.
Yeah, double play to end the inning. It just gives that momentum that BYU really needed as they go into this bottom of the 7th inning. But now have to wait for all of that and come back and try and get one more out still. Makes it a little bit harder.
Well, Jennings scored in all of that madness to put Texas Tech up to 10 runs. And they have a stranglehold on this game, up 10-4.
Yeah, BYU would have to have a massive 7th inning. I mean, they've put up 1 run in the first, 1 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th. Have to put up at least 6 in 1 inning against really good pitching
and you're working
squad.
against Olivia Raines.
Yeah.
And that's a high fly ball into left center field. Zavadik makes the catch. So after all of that, the damage remains as it stands. Texas Tech plates 2 more in the 7th. They push the lead to 10-4. Into the bottom of the 7th inning, Texas Tech with the commanding 10-4 lead on BYU. Very impressive offensive performance from the Red Raiders. 14 hits. As you look at the upcoming schedule, 2 more against BYU. And a home run, as we're showing you that schedule, from Maddie Bejarano. So perhaps some life from BYU. That is an ideal start to the bottom of the 7th, to say the least, as Maddie B continues her superlative season.
Yeah, I mean, if you could pick a way to start an inning, I mean, that's a pretty good way to start.
The wind has died a little bit, still breezy and blowing in from center field, but Bejarano got all of that.
Yeah, center fielder didn't even make a real
movement.
attempt.
When I first saw it come off the bat, I thought, oh, is she just positioning to catch that ball in center field? And then it sailed over the fence. Boy, an easy swing generates some real power for Maddie Bejarano. She found the sweet spot in the bat, to say the least.
It's almost when she chooses to swing, she hits the ball hard. Super impressive.
Violet Zavodnik. Ground ball, and that takes a wicked hop off the glove of Oric, and Zavodnik is on safely for BYU as she reaches base for the first time today.
Yeah, that's a hard hop.
Boy, hard hit ground ball, no question. And took kind of a weird bounce sharply, a little bit to the side, and
rolled as an air, though, it looks like.
The usual shorthanded Oric unable to handle that one. And again.
But you'll take base runners. If you're BYU right now, you just need base runners.
Belief grows a little bit more for BYU in this, their home opener. Lily Owens has had a fantastic performance today. 2 triples to lead this BYU offense, but she is retired there on the pop fly to center field. Holloman making the catch.
And she just missed that. A little bit early, hit it off the end of her bat. But I mean, if she'd have got a little more of that, that would have went out too.
Well, Owens, in 48 at-bats entering today's game, though she is retired there, had 0 triples. She has 2 triples in the same game. That is very difficult to do in softball.
That does not happen.
1 triple is tough to achieve in a game, let alone 2 in the same contest. Hunter Ava facing Olivia Raines with Zavodnik on first. Now, Ava certainly a player in her career. Perennial home run power. And she's somebody that can change the game with 1 swing.
Yeah. A solid player and tons of experience. I mean, she's been hitting it in the lineup since she was a freshman. She's not new to situations like this where you're down in the bottom of the 7th and need some runs to make a difference in the game.
Ava, and that deflects off of her left foot. Zavodnik was running on the contact, but it'll be a foul ball, 2 balls and a strike to Hunter Ava, who make it 2-2 now with that foul ball. Is batting .350, and just to kind of give you an idea of how effective Ava has been in her career, especially in the latter years. A batting average of .350 is almost 50 points lower than she was hitting at the end of last season.
Yeah. She's one of those just consistent hitters, like the whole season. She almost never has much of a slump. Like, she just does good at the beginning of the season to the end of the season, stays really consistent in that 300 range. And then sometimes even gets up over that 400.
Ava
very good hitter.
Up. Is this going to fall in play? It does, but the net certainly involved their tough play for Kreitz to try and make that catch, and Ava will have a full count at 3-2 with 1 down and Zavodnik still on first. It's 10-5. BYU does have 1 run across here in the bottom of the 7th on the leadoff solo home run from Maddie Bejarano. Ava batting .408 in 2022. Another pop fly, shallow center field. And the catch is made by the speedster Holloman. What a play by the freshman. With a scoop in shallow center field.
Yeah, very impressive catch. You'll see she comes and dives running forward. It's a lot easier to dive side to side than forward. There was nothing else she could do, and she made it look easy. It was a really good play.
Great catch to Rob, a good hitter. And one slight correction on Ava's numbers. I was referencing her 2022 season when she batted .408 for the season. So again, at 350 this year, like you see what she's been capable of. Not like Ava had a significant drop off last year. She batted .351 for the season, or .328 rather, and now back up to .351 this season. So the point is, Texas Tech pitchers have handled, in large part, a really talented BYU lineup today.
Yep.
There's strike one to Haley Morrow. Foul tip. Back into the left side. It's a ball and 2 strikes with 2 down, and BYU down to their final strike here in game 1 of this Big 12 opening series with Texas Tech. And it's off the glove at shortstop of Abby Orrick. So a hard hit ground ball once again. Tough play to make. That one I don't think will go for an error.
Yeah, I agree.
That will likely be an infield single credited to Haley Morrow, and the rally, BYU's number 7 batter, Maddie Udall, the third baseman, an opportunity. And a foul ball for strike 1.
Good eye. Just a hair outside. And in the bottom of the 7th inning, 2 outs. BYU hitters need to make sure they're swinging at good pitches. It's just so important for them to have good pitch selection at this point in the game.
Udall gets after that ball into left field, but the catch is made, and that will be the game. Texas Tech victorious in their Big 12 opener on the road in Provo as they defeat BYU by a final score of 10-5.